Prophet said, raise your children with three qualities. Prophet said, raise your children with three qualities. Love of your Prophet, love of his family, and reading the Quran.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulallah, as-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Habiballah, as-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabiyallah, wa ala alika wa sahabika ya Noorallah. The beloved Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam has stated, anyone who recites 1,000 times durood upon me every day, he will not die until he sees his place in Jannah. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. The viewers of Madani Channel, welcome to our new episode of the series Childhood Matters. In this series, as you know, we have Dr. Zirak Saab as our guest. He is a psychiatrist by profession. Today we are with another burning issue, and I would say it is one of the most hot issues of the day. Parents, they are very much concerned because of this issue which we are going to discuss. The children are going out of their hands. A lot of parents are very much worried. What is that issue? That is social media. In today's episode, we are going to discuss what is social media, what is the impact of social media, and how it is going to impact our mental health and physical health and many other things as well. And if it has reached to the level of addiction, so how can we get rid of it? And a lot of other questions as well. Moving to the first question. Dr. Saab, social media has become a sort of craze now. Everyone is busy in social media. Children, their parents, then young and old alike, all kind of people are to be found on social media. So my question is, why it is so appealing? What is special in it that it has become so popular?
Social media clearly, obviously, first of all, let's have a brief understanding of what exactly it is. Even though people do understand what social media is, media obviously is a plural of medium. So different mediums are used to interact with each other socially, whether it is websites or chat websites or applications and so forth. And very importantly, why it is so popular. Clearly, social media has caught on like a wildfire, and it's engulfed our homes and our society, whether it is Western countries or Eastern countries. Why is it so popular? Now, as human beings, you previously defined in one of the episodes that we are social animals, and we like to interact with other individuals. Now, as part of interaction, we are quite inquisitive. We want to actually know about what other people are doing. In other sense, we are nosy. And this is, to begin with, I think it was those gossip magazines that became popular to begin with. And in those gossip magazines, different people were telling about their life stories and so forth. And it is part, I think one big reason of social media is why it's become so popular is that it gives others opportunity to know about others, what one is doing, what is happening, and we can be up to date with our relatives, with our friends or other people, and try to find out what the trends are in this day and age. The world has become a global village. That's one aspect, one reason why it has become so popular. Secondly, when we do something, we want others to know about it and give us feedback. And I think through social media platforms, we can do this and tell other people that this is what I have done, this is what I'm going to do. And for some reason, it gives us pleasure, it gives us joy. And so many people will actually share on all these different platforms on social media their day-to-day activities. And they want to actually, the other the other sort of like desire behind this is that many times people want to share their private life with others, and by doing so they feel confident about themselves, and they feel the more other people know about them, it will give them greater opportunities to have more friends. And one other reason is obviously through social media you become in the limelight. You could actually within minutes or seconds or overnight become a celebrity by sending us 2-minute clip or even 30 seconds clips and so forth. So these are some of the reasons which I understand behind social media becoming so popular.
Dr. There is a question, it might appear very funny for the viewers, but the reason behind the question is that I want to educate the parents who are rather old and they are unable to catch what is going on in the society now. The question is, what are the different forms of social media?
Now, the chances are that my own knowledge in this field may not be the most up-to-date, but whatever I know, I would like to share it as well. I think to begin with, it all started with the websites. So anyone could actually create a website telling about themselves, what they do, their information and so forth, and other people anywhere in the world could access that website. That is one way of obviously, one way of social media, social interaction with others. And then came these different types of messengers where you could actually have a phone conversation, and then followed by video conversation. And then there are these what we call as applications through which you chat with other people. Very commonly we know what WhatsApp is. This is one of the applications through which you can chat. There are other applications that these days youngsters are using, something called Snapchat, which is a medium through which they can actually share their images. Obviously we will not talk about the legitimacy of these images and so forth, but this gives them an opportunity to express themselves by actually sharing their personal images with other people. Now clearly Facebook and Twitter and Instagram are other forms of obviously media that people use for social interaction with others. And I guess and I think that this is mostly what I'm aware of as well. Now clearly this is an evolving field, and every day there may be new applications coming that youngsters may be using. I think it is fairly important for parents that they have some sort of knowledge about different types of social media that their children may be using, and be aware of what exactly it means. And there is no harm in sitting with your children and being open and honest about these things and asking them to educate you. Because learning, if the children know about it more than you, then there's no harm in asking them to actually teach you. And then you can actually educate your children about what is right and what is not right, and what is beneficial and what is harmful. And by giving this information to your children, give them the ability to make the decision as well. And if they make a decision, then you guide them that this could be, this is a right decision, or I think that this could be wrong decision. And then sometimes you have to use the time factor, that for the child themselves to realize what mistake they've made. And if you will simply force upon them that no, this is wrong and you have to stop it, then this unfortunately will cause friction between the parents and the children, and this friction will definitely cause a rebellion within the children, and you will actually lose a battle. And by losing this battle, the children will get out of hand.
As social media has become very common and almost every second person is on social media, so it must be impacting the life of the human beings in different ways. So if I ask you, for example, physical health, how social media is going to impact the physical health?
First of all, if we look at the obvious effect of the social media, how do we access social media is these days through the screens. Whether it is the screen of the computer, whether it is the TV screen, whether it is a mobile phone screen or smartphone screen or tablets or iPads. Now, screen emits a lot of light. Screen also emits radiation, different types of radiation. Now, light itself actually causes a strain on the eye muscles. And clearly, when there is a lot of light entering into the eye constantly, then this could actually lead to obviously strain on the head. There may be headaches experienced, and also eventually if there's too much use of screens, then this could impact on the eye muscles, eventually causing weak eyesight, and they may need glasses. Now that's an obvious impact of screens as a result of social media that actually leads to an effect on our physical health. Now, other impact on physical health is, now previously, if you looked at life of the children before the advent of social media, there was a lot of physical play. Children will actually be out and about either on the streets or in the playgrounds and physically doing exercise, running around and playing different games which involved a lot of physical activity. And that meant that their bones were getting more stronger, they were physically developing more strength, and also they were gaining a lot of joy and happiness as a result of that. However, since the advent of social media, now the doctors and the parents and other medical experts are deeply concerned the time period that is being spent on the screen. And what happens when you are spending the time on screen, that physical activity has gone out of the window and you are now simply sitting on your sofa. There was a term used previously when the TV became popular and everyone watching TV, and that was said couch potato. And now obviously I don't know whether there is a term social media potato or not, but clearly children are spending a greater amount of time sitting on the sofas or not doing physical activity. What is this causing? This is actually causing obesity. Children becoming overweight because of the lack of exercise. They are eating the same amount, but they're not exercising enough. This is causing brittle bones. The bones are not developing properly. Now that effect will be shown in the later years of the life, when the bones may sort of not being more dense as a result of lack of physical activity. They may lead to fractures of the bone at the small amount of fall or something like that. So from physical health point of view, becoming overweight and obese is a big risk of indirect risk associated with social media, and this in itself will actually then lead to some of the mental health problems that I will mention later on, and clearly physical health problems as well. As a result of obesity, children are developing diabetes in very young age as well. Usually the diabetes that you would see later on in the sort of 40s and 50s, because of children being obese, then this type of diabetes is being seen in children as well. And obesity also increases the risk of cancer. And unfortunately, if this is not going to be tackled, then this becomes our habit, and the habits then become very difficult to break. So the impact of physical health issues associated directly or indirectly with social media have long-term consequences.
Dr. Saab, I have observed another thing as well. Those who are, I would say, addicted to social media and especially cell phone, they are restless, all the time waiting for something. As soon as a notification comes, they rush towards their cell phone, they open it, and then they are busy. Then for a while they come out of the cell phone, and then again if a notification comes, so they jump to it. So I have observed a sort of restlessness in their life. So there must be some other mental health issues as well, and I think it is a mental health issue. So you agree with me or not, but I think in this way. But there must be some other mental health issues as well. What are those?
Now clearly, if we look at mental health issues, probably there are more mental health issues as a result of use of mobile phones, and obviously the reason we can associate use of social media, whether it is text messages, everything now comes under social media. Um, from mental health point of view, what happens is that these children, as we previously mentioned, that they end up developing virtual relationships rather than the real life situations. And what happens is then they develop, these individuals who use social media, from mental health point of view, they have low self-esteem, they have lack of self-confidence. When these individuals actually go out in physical form and meet with others, they lack social skills. They do not know how to interact effectively with other individuals. Why? Because speaking to someone on social media, you can hide your weaknesses, you can hide your anxieties, you can actually portray the image of yourself whichever you want to. Whereas in real life, lots of things are observed by each other with our own eyes. And then these individuals will not be, because of their own internal weaknesses or low self-esteem, they will not be confident. Their anxieties will show. And clearly what you mentioned was that the anxiety and this restlessness, that they are constantly waiting for a message or a reply to come. It's not a good habit, because it then leads to impact on lots of other aspects of our life. For example, timekeeping, which we will actually discuss as well. And as a result of this use of social media, the tranquility and calmness goes out of the window, and this clearly can lead to increased amount of stress and anxiety, and these are some of the mental health issues that are associated with social media.
What is your advice for students who are excessively using social media? How it is going to put impact on their studies?
Now clearly, this is something I think about, and because if I remember my days of being a student, whether at school or university, they were the early days when the mobile phones were becoming common. Now, because they were very early days and the people were not too much connected via the mobile phones, so having a mobile phone didn't affect myself or other students that badly. Why? Because you didn't rely too much on mobile phones. Now, I imagine that if I'm sitting there trying to revise, and like you said, that the message comes on the phone, there's no way I'm actually going to stop myself. And I will look at the message and I will basically then try to reply, and this affects my concentration. What I have read just now, for a revision point of view or a studies point of view, I will forget because my attention is diverted. Now let's imagine someone sitting for 1 hour and 4 times or 5 times or 6 times they are disrupted by a message. I don't know how much a child is going to learn in that 1 hour, because you are constantly being disrupted. You are unable to concentrate. You are unable to focus. And I don't think that the children are going to say, this is my studies time, I'm going to put my mobile phone in another room, or I'm going to switch my mobile phone off. That in itself will actually give them the anxiety and restlessness. Now what may be happening? We have actually become heavily dependent upon these mobile phones, and we constantly feel attached to them. And if the message is not coming, then many times people have developed this, I would call it a mannerism. Different people have got different mannerisms. They may be scratching themselves or running their hands through their beard or through their hair. Similarly, looking at the mobile phone, has a message come? Has someone replied? Has obviously what I've posted on the Facebook or Twitter or whatever, how many replies and comments have been there? Has actually become a mannerism. It has become a sort of addiction, in the sense, until I do it, I don't feel satisfied. And clearly, this, in my opinion, leads to a major impact on revision ability of a child. I would like to actually discuss this with these youngsters. How do they manage to actually do the revision? I'm quite surprised and intrigued. And whether there will be any studies to see what is the impact of social.
They will answer you, it is generation gap.
What I would like to see a study being conducted on effect of social media on grades and so forth. If they are actually still maintaining high grades, I'm quite intrigued how they are doing it. But looking at it from a psychological point of view, it is something that is very difficult.
Well, we have discussed the impacts of social media on mental health or physical health. There is another dimension, and that is the relationship amongst the family. Because what I have observed that many children, because they are busy in social media, so they don't pay attention to their parents, and many parents, they also do the same thing. So social media is putting impact on relations as well.
Now clearly social media is affecting family dynamics in a very big way.
ठीक है.
In this day and age, obviously the family systems really breaking down. The interaction between the parents and the children has been reduced very much. The reasons for this are, for example, everyone is trying to do their own stuff.
ठीक है.
For example, if it's the father, he's busy doing his own stuff, and the mother is busy doing her own stuff, and the grown-up children, they are busy in their own bedrooms doing whatever they want to do, and there is very little time left for them to sit together. Now, if in this situation they do end up sitting together, then what is happening is that we assume that the children are teenagers and they've got their own mobile phones or other devices through which they are accessing social media. And if we were to actually imagine a household, a father and a mother and the 2 or 3 children all sitting together, then what you would observe is all of them with their own device on social media.
जी.
Now, they are trying to interact with people who are not there through social media. But who is in front of your own eyes, who is actually in need of your interaction, you are not interacting with them. And when one party wants to interact, the other one's too busy with this virtual interaction. And this has actually reduced affection between the children and the parents. And then when there is a need for this, everyone seems to be too busy in their social media interaction and not in the real life interaction. And this will actually lead to significant impact on the relationship between the parents and the children. And it is not going to be as close as it used to be in the past.
Well, social media is also creating, I would say, a habit of wasting the time, because many meaning people, they are wasting their time on social media by using some useless things. So my question is, how can one manage his time while he's using social media?
Now, first of all, obviously, if we look at the how social media or how telephone has taken over our life, is that we are all the time connected with the rest of the world, and this is not good. All the time being connected, this can lead to anxiety, stress, and sort of emotional imbalances and so on and so forth, and all the time you are sort of like hypersensitive and so forth. Now you are sitting down trying to have a meal, and there is a message on the phone, or even before the message comes, you got phone in one hand and trying to eat with the other hand, and you're looking, you're not paying any attention, you're not able to enjoy your meal. You are sitting with your parents, and then again you may be trying to have a conversation, and at the same time you're checking your messages on WhatsApp or Facebook and so forth. And you are actually basically not making effective use of your time. And as we discussed, the impact of it on the studies and so forth. And now these days, if you update your mobile phone, then on one screen it actually shows you how much you actually use your phone for over the last 12 or 24 hours. And it tells you exactly that which particular application you used for how long. Now that for me was an eye-opener, that I may be thinking that I'm not using social media or I'm not using my phone for that long. But when you actually look at that daily report, you could be spending up to 6, 7, 8, 9 hours checking your mobile phone. Now this will be an eye-opener for many, that if they have this facility on their phone which provides them with the feedback, how long they've actually used their mobile phone and for what functions and what applications. Now if someone's spending 6 hours out of 24 hours, then 8 hours gone to sleep, then out of the 16 hours you are spending 6 hours. That's almost 40% of your time. 40% of your time you are giving to this device, you are giving to social media. Then how is that effective use of time? You are missing on lots of other tasks and so forth. So we need to realize that yes, we are spending too much time on this. We need to bear in mind all those impacts on our mental health, on our physical health, on our education, on our relationship, and then realize that we need to actually put this to one side and effectively plan my timetable. We need to actually say or set certain rules in our households that from this time to that time, no use of the phone. When we are eating or having a cup of tea, no use of the phone. Everyone put the phone away. When parents are spending time with the children or helping them with the homework, they need to put the phone away and say they're not going to use the phone. And unless we actually do this, we're not going to be able to make effective use of time, and we will actually end up losing big time.
There must be many people who know this dark side which you have highlighted, but there is a very, I would say, big section of people who are unaware of this, and now they have become victim of this addiction. So now my question is, very briefly, I need your answer, that those who have become addicted, how can they break this addiction?
I think I will use this term that is used by Sayyidi Amir al-Sunnat Sheikh Tariqat, that karne wale kaam karo, warna na karne wale kaamon mein pad jaoge. So this use of social media, it should not, you need to actually give it the value that it needs, not too much value, not overemphasis, and try to concentrate and focus. You need to actually prioritize your own life and the tasks that you need to achieve in that day, and the priority for the use of social media should be lowered down. Hopefully with this mindset, one will be able to diminish or reduce the time that they spend on social media and make effective use of it.
Well, so it means that your advice is set your priority list. The viewers of Madani Channel, really, in our life, there are some things which should be on top of the list when it comes to the priority list. And we need to see and we need to think in which way we are living our life and what are our priorities. Being a Muslim, our priority should be the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the pleasure of His beloved Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa sallam. And after these two things should come some other things which you feel are necessary. Social media is not necessary at all. There are very few people who are in real need of social media. But there are a lot of people, they are using social media, but they don't have need of social media. Allahu Akbar. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq to be moderate in everything of our life and especially the social media. Inshallah, see you again in the next silsila. Keep watching Madani Channel. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Prophet said, raise your children with three qualities. Prophet said, raise your children with three qualities. Love of your Prophet, love of his family, and reading the Quran.